Hello and welcome to another session in English language, and today our focus is on first summary writing, how to read to summarize, and also we're going to be looking at a register on building and building construction, and lastly we're going to focus on writing a narrative, then lastly we focus on relative pronouns. But before that, let us review the previous lesson. Welcome back, and like I said earlier, we're going to be focusing on different aspects of English language today. First, we're going to focus on summary writing, reading to summarize. Then we'll focus on register, writing a narrative essay, and structure, grammar. We're going to focus on relative pronouns. So let's begin the lesson with summary writing. What is a summary? Like I told you, a summary is simply a brief report. A brief report. That's what we call summary. A brief report. And for you to acquaint yourself with this, don't forget, like I said, it's almost like an advanced form of comprehension. You are given a passage to read, and in that passage you have to identify the main facts. Identify the main facts in the passage, and two, you are required to write them out in clear and concise sentence. Write them in clear and concise sentences. So that's what you're required in summary writing. It's a whole lot different from comprehension, but it's almost the same. You have a passage and you're required to read. So with that I said, also here, and I emphasize this, an exercise of what? Brevity. So you have to be brief, or you have to be what you call concise. Brief, or what you call concise. And before you can do that, you must have understood the passage very well. Then like I said here, the essence of summary writing is to be brief and bring out the most important ideas, because there's no room for so the following things or hints will help you to do that. Number one, read the passage very carefully. Passage very carefully. Read at least minimum 2 times. Twice. Right? Then next, try to understand the topic of key sentence in the passage in order to follow the line of what discussion. Then you go through the questions and read the passage again, and you find out and you do the spot answers. Then add extra what instructions given. Add extra instructions given. Where don't go outside. Don't write more than or less than the required number of words sentences. Please, as much as possible, avoid mindlessness. What's mindlessness? Writing answers words. And so quickly, let's move on to register on construction, building and building construction. So let's begin with what we call a trench. A trench is simply a long, narrow ditch. So a long, narrow ditch or hole in the ground is a trench. Then we have what we call concrete. Concrete is simply a mixture of cement, sand, and gravel. That's what we call concrete. So when you mix cement, sand, gravel, and water, when that thing hardens or dries, we call that what? Concrete. Then we have what we call foundation. The foundation of a house is simply the part of the house that is unseen. The part of the house that is unseen. Then we have what we call the DPC. Under the DPC, we have what the DPC simply represents what you call dam-proof course. Now, that is simply a layer of material application that prevents moisture, right? That prevents moisture down through a wall or the floor. Okay, so it's very important that we take note of that too. Then we also have what is called your scaffold. The scaffold is like a structure that is used to provide support for workers, when they are working outside the building. And when they are working on the walls, there is a structure, and we call that structure a scaffold. Okay, so the structure is to provide support to the workers during their construction. Alright, so then we have also what is called the German floor. German floor simply means that such is a concrete floor made over short walls. We have two plumbers. I didn't pronounce plumbers. Plumbers. The B is mute there. Okay, so plumbers are people who fit pipes. Okay, fit pipes. A plumber is one who fits pipes, basins, baths, water tanks, everything that has to do with water system in a home. It's a plumber that fits that, while a glazier is somebody whose job majorly is to fit the glasses. Okay, glazier's job is majorly to fit in the glasses into the window frames. Okay, then we also have the gravel. Gravel has to do with pebbles or pieces of what? Of rocks. Okay, and we used to mix the sand to form what you call your concrete. Then we also have what? A painter. We also have a painter, and a painter is the person that completes the process, by painting the whole building. So the person who paints the building is a painter. The person who paints the building, and that is always the last thing that is done during construction. Okay, and we could also have what you call mortar. Okay, what is a mortar? The mortar is used for setting. It's used for setting blocks. It's used for setting blocks and plastering. So let's take one more, and that is the word electrician. So an electrician, let me write that at the top. An electrician is somebody responsible for installation of wires and electrical components. That's who an electrician is. So, and we have other words. We have numerous words. We have plastering. That what we call gabble. I don't want to bore you with all of that. So let's quickly move to what we call a narrative essay. Now, in a narrative essay, like you are always required to tell a story. You are always required to tell a story, and so you must be very good at storytelling. Majorly, that's what you are trying to do. Trying to tell us about a succession of what events that actually happened in the past. That's what the narrative essay is all about. You must also know that when you are telling a story, the story can be imaginary and it can be real, or what you call factual. They might be real life stories, or they might be what imaginary ones. So you don't need to have experienced it for you to be very good at it. So your story can be imaginary, real, or factual. And please, more importantly, it has to follow the chronological order. It has to follow the chronological what you are saying, that's your thoughts, your line of thoughts, your idea for this sequential. Okay? Like, let's say, tells us about control, about actions, okay? So people will always be talking stories, an action that was performed, always be timing, place. Okay, so that's that. So what are the hints on writing very good narratives? Always know that your tenses of verb is very important. So you have to make sure you stick to what you call the past tense verb. Okay, so stick to the use of what past tense, but remember the events are very important. Please, you must be in control of the tenses. Okay, then also your events, like I said, should be in chronological order. Okay, sequentially. Don't just write haphazard stories. And like I told you, imagination can be employed. The stories can either be imaginary using your imagination, or they can be real life experiences. Then your introductory paragraph must be what captivating, or what you call interesting. Must be able to arouse the feeling of the recipients. Your events must be linked, paragraphs, unity, as well as really paragraphs, brief. So let's look at the sample question. Narrate a journey by train that you embark on. Narrate a journey by train that you embark on. So my heading reads, My Journey by Train to Banjo. So paragraph 1, what necessitated was my journey towards Banjo. Paragraph 2, arrangements for the journey. Paragraph 3 and 4 talks about the major things that happen in the course of the journey. Paragraph 4, the arrival at Banjo, and paragraph 5, the resolutions. What were the lessons learned and the recommendations? Okay, so we move on to the last segment today, and that is on relative pronouns. Now, don't forget what are pronouns. Pronouns are simply words used to what replace a noun in a sentence in order to avoid repetitive use of such nouns. Okay? So any word that is used to substitute a noun in order to avoid unnecessary repetition, okay, of such nouns in an expression or statement or sentences, refers to as what? A pronoun. Then a relative pronoun is a kind or type of what? Pronoun. Okay? And it's otherwise used to what? To introduce what you call adjectival or relative what? Clauses. They begin with the following words like who, whom, that, which, whose, and what? Where. So another name for relative pronouns is W pronoun. So most of them W. So for instance, we have that is the boy whose father once killed an elephant. That is the boy whose father once killed an elephant. So you can see who's on the line. That's the relative pronoun. I can identify or use your spot. Relative pronouns on the line. Who? Now, wrote the poem. Which one was which? One was that. The school that is above field is just the best way. So where is relative pronoun. Then the time when I was asleep was when it should be. And it's also relative pronoun. Now there's always a disparity. Where do I use who and whom? When it has to do with the position of the subject, you use who. When it has to do with the position of an object, you use what? Whom. But then you use which for things, you use that for people or what? Things. Which is strictly used for what? Things. Why that is used for people or things. With this, we come to the end of this lesson. Thank you for joining us. In order to refresh your memory and recall all that was taught in this lesson, I would encourage and love that you take the test that appears on your screen.